Okay, today's lesson is on circles, and we're looking at both circumference of a circle and the area of a circle. But before we can start, we need to go over some key terms when we are talking about circles. So here is my circle drawing, and right in the middle of the circle there is the center. And when you have a line going from one end to the other end and it's going through the center, that is called the diameter. All right, so again, the diameter has to go from one end of the circle through the center to the other end of the circle. All right, that is the diameter. So you can have it go like this way. It's still going from end to end and it's going through the center, and you can have it go an infinite number of amounts as long as it's going from one end through the center to the other end. That is the diameter. After that, you would have learned the other term in a circle, which is called a radius. And the radius is defined as going from the center of the circle to any point, to any end point on the circle. All right, so this from center to this point, that would be the radius, but you could have the radius going any direction like that. Those would all be the radius. All right, so once you know the difference between the diameter and the radius, then you can apply that to the formulas. Now, if you're given diameter and you need to figure out radius, you would just divide it by 2. If you're given radius and you need to figure out the diameter, you would just multiply by 2. And that'll make more sense as we go through some examples. So let's go through the first example, which is going to be circumference. So when we talk about the circumference of a circle, we're talking about the perimeter of a circle. All right, so just the length of the outside. That's what circumference is. And the formula for that is C equals pi d, or you can use C equals 2 pi r. All right, depending on if you're given diameter or radius. So let's look at our first example. We have a circle, and we are told that the diameter is 14 meters. And we need to calculate the circumference of a circle that has a diameter of 14 meters. All right, so we can use this formula here, pi d, so C equals pi d, and pi is a special number when we're working with circles. Pi is a special number that we use. This is the Greek letter for it, and it's represented by a number 3.14. In junior high, we will just use this number, 3.14 for pi. Right? It is a number that goes on and on. It just keeps going forever. So in calculators, as you go to high school, you would actually have a button on your calculator with the pi. So for example, on this calculator, there's the pi button. But for junior high, we're just going to use 3.14, and the answer key to your modules for circles is also just going to use 3.14. So if you want to see the number for pi, so I can just pi, enter, there it is, but it does go on longer than that. It just keeps going. It doesn't end. It does not terminate. All right, so when you're in high school, you would actually use that pi button. Okay, so circumference then is equal to pi, which is 3.14, multiplied by d. All right, make sure you're using your brackets. So it's 14 for the diameter. All right, so 3.14 times 14, which gives us 43.96 meters. Okay, this is circumference. It is not area, so it's just a linear length. It's just meters. All right, let's say you were given a question with radius, and you have to solve for circumference. And let's say the radius, I'm just going to say, is 6 centimeters. All right. If the radius is 6 centimeters, you can use that to figure out the diameter. If it's, you would just double. All right. So 6 times 2, your diameter therefore would be 12 centimeters. All right. You could use this formula if you wanted, or you can just stick to the one formula. All right. So here then you can use C equals pi d, which will be 3.14 times 12, which gives us 37.68. But if you use the other formula, which is C equals 2 pi r, I'm just going to do it right here, and this one uses the radius, you can use that if you wanted. So 2 times 3.14 times the radius, which is 6. 2 times 3.14 times 6 is the exact same answer of 37.68 centimeters. All right, so it's up to you which formula you want to use, but as long as you know how to go from diameter to radius, then you can just stick to the one formula. The formula for area of a circle is pi r squared. All right, that squared here means it's r times r. So radius times radius. It is not radius times 2. All right, that's what the squared means. So let's take a look at a circle, and we are given the diameter. It is 26 centimeters. So the only formula for area is pi r squared. So we need to figure out our radius first. So again, radius is you take your diameter, divide it by 2. So for our radius, I'm just going to calculate over here. It is 26 divided by 2, which is 13 centimeters. You have to use the 13 centimeters in the formula. All right, so area equals pi r squared. I'm going to do all the substitutions now. For pi, I'm going to use 3.14. Radius is 13, and you're only squaring the 13. So what it looks like when you type it into your calculator is 3.14 times 13 times 13. Common mistake students make is they'll multiply 13 times 2. That's not correct. It's 13 times 13 and then times 3.14. All right, so putting that in the calculator, you will get 530.66, and the units are squared. Anytime we have a question for area, the unit will always be units squared. So in this case, centimeters squared. All right, so this was the question you guys were just trying. We have a circle, and we're given its diameter is 10 centimeters. So since I have the diameter, I'm just going to use this formula here for circumference. So C equals pi d. So that's the formula I'm using, C equals pi d. So pi is 3.14 diameter is 10. And make sure you're using brackets to show that you're multiplying those two numbers. So 3.14 times 10, that gives me a circumference of 31.4 centimeters. All right, so again, circumference is just the length around the outside of the circle. It's a linear measurement, so it's just in centimeters. Okay, and then area is pi r squared, but we don't know our radius yet. All we have is diameter. So to figure out the radius, you're going to take your diameter, divide it by 2, which gives you 5 centimeters for the radius. Now you can go ahead and plug that into your formula. So it's 3.14 times 5 squared. Now remember, 5 squared means it's 5 times 5. So I'm just going to rewrite that out to show that. It's 3.14 times 5 times 5. Put that into your calculator and you should get 78.5 centimeters squared. All right, so there's the answer for both the circumference and the area of a circle that has a diameter of 10 centimeters.